Right. December 8th, got the day off. Working on the game this morning. I've been making some decent progress on it lately. It's been a little while since my last update, but mostly I've been working on an overhaul of the interactables in the ship because I ran into an issue where, I want to make this a multiplayer game, and there's something in Unreal Engine called replication, which essentially means the server, whether that be a dedicated server or like a player hosting the game, the server is the brain of everything. It controls all the stuff that's going on in here, and it sends that information, not all of it, but it sends selective information that you get to pick and choose to the players, to the clients, essentially. And so I had to redo all these buttons. Also, originally I had planned on making the ship just standard steering, like you sit down in this chair, bloop, you plop into it, and then you steer with like the mouse and the keyboard. I was like, you know what? Let's get weird. This game is weird. Let's continue with the weird trend. I decided to make it so that in order to steer the ship, you have to press buttons and flip toggles and twist knobs and throw throttles. So this thing is the throttle. It goes up. You got 3 forward speeds, 1 reverse speed. These cool buttons are your left, right, up, and down. Those are like strafes. So it's like left, right, up, down. Oh, apparently I broke my uncrouch. We'll fix that later. And then these ones here that's your pitch forward, pitch back, so that tips the nose down and up. This one is your yaw, which rotates you left and right. And this is your roll, which I can't demonstrate that very well, right? Actually, I can just do it right here. Boop. It rolls the ship left and right. I can demonstrate all these. Right now I have it just like a set velocity. This is going to have to be tweaked and changed and adjusted. But, it works for now. It's great for testing. It's too fast, but anyway, what was tricky, and this is also functional, where you can go left, right, up, down, and then you can throttle. And yeah, it works like that. You can even go backwards. And what took a while to get going is the replication. So if I switch this to 2 players, hit the go button. Oh shit, I need to change this to plug-in editor. Here we go. So now I've got, on the left, I've got the server. This is the one that's hosting. These are the, I took one of my sketches and threw it into Gemini to like texture it and then put that into Meshy and made these crappy, terrible temporary models. They work for now. They make me laugh, so anyway. Look at those cleaned up later. But anyway, so if you see on the left here, this is the server. I can still control everything, do all the things. But you can see on the right, it's doing that same thing. And at first glance, you're like, duh, that's how it's supposed to be. But what's actually going on behind the scenes is that Unreal Engine has essentially, like, I'm running a copy of the game on the server on the left here. I'm running another separate copy of the game on the right here. Anything like this ball here is not the same as this ball here. They're running on 2 separate instances, and I have to use the server to tell the client, oh, this ball is moving, essentially. Or like, you can watch the button presses. The button presses are synced up now. Boop, boop, boop. So the client can see when the server is clicking that button in. Click, click, click. Click, 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 all that jazz. And vice versa. If I grab the client, I can move the throttle and it all syncs up. You can see we're moving through space, moving backwards. You can do multiple directions at the same time. I haven't gotten to fully experiment with it yet with the players doing it at the same time. I need to get another computer running this thing so that I can try to have one player mess with like the pitch while the other one mess with the thrust and things like that. But yeah, it's working pretty good. It's taken a lot of time to get it dialed in to the point where this works properly. A lot of trial and error. One thing that is super cool though, and this is part of, I don't remember if I mentioned this in my last video, but basically the ship isn't moving. That's the world moving towards me. This is me having the world move left and right. This is me rotating the world around the ship. It looks like it because I've got this skybox out here with terrible star texture that I just threw together real quick from like a Google image. but it makes it look, and it gives you the illusion that you're flying through space. And the reason being is that if I was going to actually have the ship fly through space, the ship is going to have hundreds of parts on it. Yeah, there's no collision on these yet. The ship is going to have hundreds and hundreds of pieces that are all, you know, removable. Like already we've got, you know, a dozen different things just on this panel. And if I move the entire ship around, it's going to have to move all these items too around in space and figure that out. And there's going to be, you know, stuff going through the walls, characters running around on it with physics. And when you move the whole spaceship, all of that gets very complicated very quickly. So I figure if I just leave the ship here and I move space around it, because in space there's not going to be much. There's going to be a few obstacles you have to occasionally dodge. Most of the work is going to be done in the ship, but inside the ship, you know, repairing stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm very pleased with the progress. Gemini's been a lot of help. You know, it's got some issues here and there with continuity and remembering things and some logic issues. But for the most part, it's been really nice, especially when it comes to like figuring out what kind of blueprint node I should use to perform a specific task. Like, for example, there was in these buttons, there's this thing called map ranged clamp and F interp to constant. Like I had no idea what these were, and it recommended I use them. And once I kind of figured out how they work, I realized, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This works so well. It takes, you know, a value between 0 and 1, which is what the inputs are when you're like either going left or going right. And then it like interprets that, it basically maps that range. So if I'm at 0.5 and this is between 0 and -4, it'll put that to -2 as the output. So it's just a nice little simplification thing. But anyway, the point is that the Gemini has been very helpful with figuring out how to do things in Blueprint that otherwise would have taken me a lot longer to do myself. And so that's why I've been able to iterate so quickly and get this thing to the point where, you know, we're going to be, once I get the ship movement dialed in a little more, God, it looks bad. Once I get the ship movement dialed in a little more and get the warp tunnel essentially mapped out where, you know, you can fly through this, you know, warp tunnel in space and not go out to the sides, or it gives you like a, you know, throws you an error, gives you a warning, throws damage, all that stuff. Once I do that, all I have to do is start making components in the ship that can break. And then that's the basic gameplay loop. Fly the ship, fix the stuff. And once I do that, we can start doing some very preliminary like alpha testing. And then from there, it's just a matter of making sure that every mechanic that I add works properly with one another and they don't break each other. And then I just start adding mechanic after mechanic after mechanic and polishing the visuals and adding sound. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a long road ahead, but it's really not nearly as daunting as my last project, Dark Sails, which, you know, is like a 10 to 15 hour long, you know, RPG. So it took years to make all the content for that game. This one's going to be so much quicker to iterate upon because it's just all takes place in this one little ship, and it just, you know, things change, things break. So I'm very pleased and very excited, and yeah, hope you guys follow along and enjoy the progress.